Thank you for listening to Life Improvement Radio. You are listening to a rebroadcast of a previously recorded show.
We're live at the Miami Book Fair, powered by Life Improvement Radio and the Total Education Network Authors Corner. TotalTutor.net for more information. Twitter, TotalTutor, Neil S. Haley, Facebook. Eric, have you totaled up so far how many interviews we've had today?
Actually, this one right now makes number 11. So that's 31 so far this weekend.
31. My record, I think, is 32, right, Eric? I think that the second year we did 32. I don't know. We're going to break the record this year. And it's so interesting how we end up having people come by the studio. The way the book fair works is it's kind of like a organized chaos. They're going from one place back and forth. They do such a great job. We were there the first year. But how the people are able to get the people for a radio interview is unlike anything else. And so, luckily, we always find different people that are very interesting. And I find this author great, especially with the publicity. And we want to find out about that publicity. I want to welcome to the program author Ayana Mathis, author of the 12 Tribes of Hattie, and also Oprah Book Club recipient. You kind of can explain that to me. Ayana, thanks for coming by.
Oh, thank you. It's a pleasure.
Absolutely. And it must be so real to be at the book fair. Is this your first year?
It is my first year at the book fair. It's really been great. It's so enormous. I didn't realize how enormous it is. I knew that it was a huge book fair, but I didn't realize how enormous it is. It's very encouraging for writers, I think, to see this many people who are kind of reading and wandering around with their families, and it's deeply sort of gratifying and heartening and really encouraging.
Absolutely, and it's something that you get to meet with these people, and then you find out they read your book, and that's pretty cool, right? Especially if you see authors that never met in your life, and they come back to you and say, I just loved your book, or I saw all the different things, and it's like an opportunity to convince with each other, and then you say, I can't believe it, look who that is, or there goes that, and that's how you felt, Ayana, right?
It's pretty amazing, yeah. There's a little kind of green room, or I guess sort of where there's kind of authors milling around, and you think, my God, the whole world is here. It's something, yeah.
It truly is. So tell us the story of, how Oprah discovered your book. Tell us how that happened.
Well, it was. I mean, it's sort of random. It's a very secretive and esoteric process, I guess you could say. My book was already sort of slated for publication. It was supposed to be published in January of 2013, and in October of 2012, so just a couple of months before that, I was on vacation, and folks at Oprah magazine, there were a couple of people there that knew, but essentially when Oprah makes a choice about a book, it's kept entirely secret. So there were a couple of people at the magazine that knew, but no, I didn't know, my editor didn't know, nobody on my agent, nobody on my end knew anything about it. But they had arranged this kind of fake phone call with the books editor from O Magazine, and they said, the books editor from O Magazine is going to call you at 2 o'clock to ask you a couple of questions about the book. So I said, okay, great. We were very excited because O Magazine has great book coverage, so it was going to be really exciting. And then the phone rings, and there was this voice that said, this is Oprah Winfrey, which was really strange.
It's got to be pretty surreal when you get that phone call, like,
enormously.
What do I say now? I'm talking with Oprah.
Yeah, exactly. I think what I said was something like, no, it isn't. I thought someone was playing a joke. I didn't.
I thought you were getting punked or something.
Yeah, exactly.
Absolutely. It's something that you hear about this, you're like, wow, I can't believe it. So tell me, once you heard this, what happens next? Kind of describe the experience. Because, again, people that have these opportunities, like when they say, I can't believe this just happened to me, your response and then how it moved forward and how it changed your pretty much life in certain aspects.
Well, it's hard because you have to keep it a secret because there's a lot. You have to keep it a secret until the announcement is made. So basically, for 2 months, I couldn't tell anybody, which was strange and very difficult to do. But certainly, I mean, of course, I was sort of, I was ecstatic about it. And also, it's a very surreal experience. It's just, it's interesting the way one reacts to something that you never expected to happen. In a way, it just didn't seem real for a long time. In some ways, it still doesn't. But certainly after that, the date of the publication of my novel was changed. So it was supposed to be published in January, and it was published in early December instead. And just a great deal of media attention. But I think kind of more importantly is that it really it made it possible for the book to kind of find its way into the hands of some readers that may not have found it had it not been for Oprah, or who may have thought, oh, this book isn't for me, or just what have you. And it's amazing because of Oprah. I think a lot of people found their way to a book that maybe they wouldn't have otherwise.
Absolutely, Eric. That must be amazing, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it is. It really is.
Eric, are you there? I guess I'll just continue. So now tell us a bit, because I did hear how much time we have left. So tell me a little bit about the book and the idea of the book.
Sure. So the book is called The 12 Tribes of Hattie. It's a novel, and it is about the title character. Hattie is a young woman who, when we first meet her, we meet her in 1925, and she has left Georgia, where she lived with her family. She and her mother and sisters have left Georgia, and they've migrated to Philadelphia. And when she gets to Philadelphia in 1925, by the time she's 17, she's married, and she has twins. And then through the course of the next several decades, she has 9 more children. So she has 11 children altogether. And each of the chapters in the novel is titled after one of her children. And though they are not children when we meet them, they are just simply one of her children, but usually they're adults. And each chapter is told kind of from the perspective of one of her children at a very specific moment in one of their lives. And Hattie, the title character again, is sort of the through line. So she appears in each chapter in some way, shape, or form. And it spans basically the bulk of the 20th century. The first chapter, as I said, is set in 1925, and the last chapter is set in 1980.
Wow. I find it fascinating to talk about the lives of 12 different children and see how their lives develop, especially in the history from the 20s on. How did you kind of come up with the ideas of different characters? Because especially you're writing about all these different people.
Well, I was very fortunate because the structure of the book kind of presented itself to me, which is that when I started writing it, this is my first novel, when I started working on it, I didn't necessarily know at first that I was writing a novel. I thought that I was working on short stories that were completely, sort of autonomous from each other. And I was about 3 or 4 in when I realized that the characters that I was writing about in these short stories were actually in the same family. And so at that point, I kind of was able to keep on in the same vein because I'd understood that they were all part of the same family and that they were all Hattie's children.
Wow. And Hattie, the character Hattie, I guess growing up the time that she grew up in, which was a challenging time for sure. She definitely had to. She had to definitely, in formation of 12 different children, balance a lot on her to make sure it happens. I'm about to have our 5th child in January, and I can't imagine 12, and just how to really get them to make sure that they all have successful lives in so many ways. And I'm sure that one thing that Oprah probably enjoyed definitely about the book is just the thought process of those lives and how they develop.
Yeah, certainly. I mean, most of the time in the book, what you see them in a sort of a snapshot. So you see them in some very particular moment. One of her children, I mean, you see them in some very particular moment in their lives. But certainly, Hattie is. I mean, she's a really large figure. She's a kind of larger than life, and they are all kind of deeply attached to her. In some ways, she's a difficult woman. She's not sort of the typical kind of milk and cookies mom, but she loves them all very fiercely. And she's had such an impact on their lives and who they are that even though each of them have very different lives, and as I said, most of them are adults when you meet them, there is still some way in which Hattie's kind of influence on them is kind of reverberating through their adult lives.
What a powerful woman in being able to handle that and to be able to make sure and her care for her children. Tremendous, and that's what I think that people are going to enjoy about the book is seeing Hattie and how her care and her concern and raising them the way she felt helped their lives.
She makes a lot of mistakes. She's not sort of the typical mom, but she's really complicated, and she loves them very fiercely.
Well, Ayana, I wish I could have more time to talk to you. I appreciate you stopping by Author's Corner, but where can we find information on you, purchase your book, and learn more about you? And I'm sure that you're on Twitter and different things, especially with the success of the book, and we'll definitely stay in touch. So where's the info we can...
Oh, so you can. I'm actually not on Twitter, which is shameful at this day and age. But you can find me on. I have a Facebook. Fan page. You can find me there, and then also my website, which is ayanamathis.com.
Great talking to you. Best of luck with the book and more great success. And I appreciate you coming by.
Thank you so much. It was a pleasure to talk to you. Take care.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right, you're listening to Author's Corner, powered by Life Improvement Radio and the Total Education Network. And we'll be back in just a moment.
Thank you for listening to Life Improvement Radio. The views expressed by show hosts or their guests are their own and shall not be construed in any way as advice from Life Improvement Radio. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our website. Personal perspectives expressed by the producers, writers, or editors will always be presented as such. Any rebroadcast or retransmission without the expressed written consent of Life Improvement Radio is strictly prohibited. Thanks for listening.